Dave, I guess just a good chance to maybe kind of do something other than football. I mean, I know there were football drills, but something outside of bowl prep today.
No, this was fun. Our guys were looking forward to this. You could just walking around, making the circuit. I mean, they were into it, having fun. You can see them talking to the kids now and their families. So it's really cool.
You got some big community service guys on your roster, Michael Allen, right? And who else? Whatever. How important is community service to this roster?
Thank you so much.
It's very strong. I think the emphasis on that has been once you got into Baylor, and for us last year, it was such a huge push. It's been still a push this year, and so to have that be something that's real passionate for guys, and then to have this opportunity because you won some games and you have the opportunity to do this, it's pretty cool.
Any Houston guys that I'm sure that you have on your roster, what's it like for them being back home and getting to participate?
It's really good. There was a couple nights early in the bowl prep where they had a chance to go home, and we had a curfew, but they could go home and spend the evening with their family, then come on back, and they've got a bunch of people that are going to be at the game here for them, and so they're excited to play in front of them, friends and family, so it's very impactful and very cool.
What does an event like this do just right before the bowl game, just being able to laugh and smile and to help out the kids?
No, it does. I think on the plane or on the bus ride up, I'm thinking about this adjustment. I'm thinking about, well, do we need to tweak this? I'm thinking about once I get here, I'm not thinking about that at all. And so on the bus ride back, I'll get back into thinking that way. But it was fun to be able to do this.
Kind of related to that, did most of your bowl prep, most of your game prep happen before you ever got here? Do you have to kind of have a plan in place before you get here?
You do, yeah. With the events and everything that you have, your time is limited, rightfully so, because you want to have events and you want to have community involvement, and so there's still though a fair amount of tweaking that goes on based upon our people and their people and kind of things that present themselves, and so I think the ability to stay flexible on that front is always important.
Are you going to let Michael Allen do the pregame speech again?
I know, yeah. No, I think he's been in our meetings. He wants to be a coach, and so we meet in the morning, staff-wise. We'll meet after practice in the morning, and he's in all of those meetings. And I appreciate his work ethic and his care factor, and I think he's a great. We put some in, and it's like, hey, how are our guys going to see it? What do you think? What's the best way to say this, or what's the best way to get this done? And we'll take a lot of what he says and put that to use.
I guess I know that transfer portal is closed, but do you expect any more? You can still sign players and have some incoming people. Do you expect any more?
We do, yeah. Any moment now, really, we should expect something. And so we put in a lot of work to that. I think it's difficult because talking about all that prep being done prior to getting on the bowl site. The thing about that is that you're in transfer portal season, and so we're having staff meetings talking about this, talking about that, and we should be hosting players, and we should be touring players, and we should be spending time with players that are visiting, and so we got that going on at the same time. And so I think there's a bit of catch-up coming off of just hosting all the transfers and talking with their families, plus catching up on, hey, this is what LSU does, this is what we have to do, this is the adjustment we got to make. And so we've been able to do that with this week in advance of the game.
Coach, seeing events like these, it shows that football is more than just a game. What does it mean to you that you guys are able to be part of something like this?
No, you could see the fun the kids were having. You could see the fun that our kids are having, and I think we had Chateau Reed was on our team back in 21, and then 22 as well, and we didn't have events like this. Some of that was with COVID and everything else, and so I just think he goes, hey, so this is what you do on a bowl, and he was just having a fun time, and so I think the community involvement just makes it way special.
Back to the game, how important is it for your kids to be in these NFL facilities, playing in these big arenas, and getting that experience if they want to go to the next level?
I think it's really important. Prior to all of this starting, Petrie came and talked to us a little bit, and so I think for guys to see that, to have gone through all the things with him, a lot of vets that did that, and to see him in the Texans gear and walking into his, walking out of his house to meet us, so to speak. And so I think like all of that matters, and all of that sends a really strong message.
Did you get a chance to meet with him and talk with him a little bit too?
Yeah. He came. He came to our Houston game. Okay. So he spoke with us prior to that game. That was prior to him getting hurt, by the way, too.
Right.
And so he's on the mend. We're talking about his return dates, and he's excited to get back.
With a team like LSU, they have a bunch of key players now opting out and going to the draft. Does that make it harder to game plan when you have maybe less film and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, you can find film on guys. I think there's going to be an element of adjustment and an element of creativity that's going to go in when you don't have what you had before, And so I think that's the thing. And so you just don't want to. You want to try to have as much of a beat on that as possible. There is going to be the adjustment that's going to come within a game. You don't want to be down points in making that adjustment. Okay, here's what they do. Now we're down this or that, and so you want to try to get ahead of it as best you can. So that's been a fair assessment of this past week for us. Is that one?
And then one more, if that's okay. I forgot to ask about Kendrick Simpkins. He's coming back next year. How important is that for that secondary to have him back?
Yeah, I know when we were recruiting him, just his blitzing off the edge ability, his playing the run, setting edges, his ability to play coverage, and just his physicality on the perimeter was really shown through, and we were able to see that in the springtime, and even in fall camp. And it's a shame that we were able to get really none of it in the season, and it would have been a huge asset to our team if we were able to get any of that production. And so for him to come back and to be a factor in our season next year is going to be way cool. We need him. We need him. We need that position to be juiced up, and we need that position to be way productive. I feel like we can do that.
What's your biggest memory of that 2019 season with LSU?
Bunch of competitors. I remember the camp, and I remember Joe Burrow picking a fight with Patrick Queen, and I remember walking into the position of the staff room like, man, we can't cover these guys. We can't, and then having to adjust kind of our scheme based upon what they were doing. I remember, I remember getting on the bus to go to the national championship game, and going through the crowd and just the fans, and we get on the bus, and their bus is rocking. They're moving the bus; it's rocking back and forth. Just that environment, from what it was, prior LSU was not that, and so to have a bunch of guys come together and to make it be that type of environment is way cool. That's what you love about sports.
Is the defensive coordinator, did you ever look at that offense and wonder what you might do to counter it?
That offense back then?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was difficult. The hardest part about all of that was Joe Burrow. I think, Jamar Chase made it hard. Justin Jefferson made it hard. Clyde Edwards-Helaire made it hard. There's some components in there that made it hard. But Joe was the guy that he knew what you were in. He knew, hey, once I hit you with this, you're gonna make an adjustment to that. So he was always a step ahead. And I thought, the coaches there on offense did a great job mentoring him. But just being in the offices up there, man, you're getting a cup of coffee at whatever time early in the morning, and Joe was the only boy up there. He was the only guy up there. And so I think a lot of it, man, he's had it. He was kind of born with that, And I think it's so cool to see him have success now, because all those things you could see back then.
You said it made y'all sort of adjust what you were doing defensively, going up against their offense every day in practice.
Yeah. We were really a lot of single high previously, and I think a lot of the SEC is single high. I think there's something about this really talented, fast guys kind of want to just be really talented and fast and just cover a guy. Hey man, I got this guy. Don't worry about anything. I got, when you're playing zone, you're playing two high safeties. There's a lot of variables that go into it. And hey, we're going to this on the mo. Hey, what's the split? Is 2 on? Is 1 off? Is 2 off? Is 1 on? Are they on the numbers? No, they're 3 yards inside the numbers. And all these things when you're two high safeties. And so, when you're single high, it's kind of like, hey man, I got this guy, you got that guy. If anything, you're going to change your leverage inside and out to use a moving bracket, to use a post safety or a low hole help. And so I think SEC-wise, it really lends itself to single high coverage because of the guys you can recruit and the mentality of it and everything else. I think listening to A&M after the USC game, you can kind of hear the same type of talk, right? It's just like there's something about it. And so we were very much that way, and we could not exist in that type of structure versus the offense at LSU at the time. So they had to get us to play two high safeties. And it's a good thing. I mean, change is hard, and so that was a hard spring. I think it was spring.
Any comparison at all to this year's LSU offense?
I think the quarterback is someone where it's like he knows what you're in. He's going to take advantage of the coverage that you're in. He has the keys to the Cadillac, man. So like he can take it out for a drive whenever he wants. So he's changing this play. He's checking that protection. We have not played a quarterback that has all the keys and the control like he does, and so that very much makes it to where your look. You have to sell a pre-snap presentation, and it has to mean something, because otherwise he'll cut you up, and he's throwing for a bunch of yards. They've got guys that can make plays, and they're more of a shot team than any team we've played, and so we defensively have not been great versus those things, the ball in the air, and so it's a huge test for us.
So you gave the pregame speech before Tech, right?
Yes,
Is that the thing? I guess what was your message, and how do you think that helped Baylor kind of get to where you are now?
Yeah, that was kind of all about just instilling confidence in the guys. We had a pretty tough front-loaded schedule with a lot of good teams, and sometimes when you lose a lot of games and you see all this stuff, you can believe that you're not very good, but we just knew that wasn't the case. We had great staff, great guys in the locker room, and we knew we were capable of doing big things, and so just kind of building guys up, and then once we get that belief, we saw what happened from there. So that was all just reiterating what Coach Aranda said all year about us having a good team, a good group of guys, and just I think it's important for those guys to know that. So.
Coach Aranda said you wanted to be a coach?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Yes, sir.
What about it?
Yeah, so growing up, my uncle coaches professionally, so I always kind of like looked up to him. Football's always been a big part of my life, and so I actually came here with the intentions of going into coaching, so I wanted to learn under Coach Aranda, and I'm just so appreciative of what they've done for me here and kind of carved out a role as kind of sitting on some staff meetings and stuff, so just so grateful for this opportunity in this program.
Talking about Aranda real quick, how did he keep this team together, you think, over the past year and a half, going into that winning streak? Why do you think that something was able to shift then? How did he influence that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about Coach Aranda is he is so humble. He's probably the most humble person you've ever meet, and just his ability to rally guys around. It's like, hey, it's not about me, it's not about this individual guy, but it's about us as a collective. And so I think just the vision he has for us, and he's already had success. You see the 2021 Sugar Bowl. It's like getting back to those things and getting back to that. So I think just his ability to speak positivity into us and make it about the team, not about any individual, has been big for us.
What do days like today mean when you get to come out here and play with these kids?
It was incredible. All of us and all of LSU, we were those kids back in the day. So just the opportunity, we've all been very blessed to be in the position where we're at now. And so an opportunity to go back and serve those kids was just incredible. I know the guys really appreciated the opportunity to go help the kids.
Might go back to your pregame speech. The players have to respect you for that to even matter. Did you feel that? Did you sense that they respect you that much that they're going to listen to you?
I hope so. Like I said, I'm really grateful for the guys. I love all those guys, and I care about each and every one of them. So very grateful that they're able to listen to me and kind of take that, I guess. But I think this place is special. We got special relationships with coaches and players, and that locker room is a special group of guys. So just being able to be with them every day, and it started in January. The workouts, the things that nobody sees, and then what's done in the dark will come out to the light. So I'm just so proud of them for keeping the fight, and as you can see, these past 6 games have just been a total representation of those guys right there.
bowl game week is more than just about the game itself. You got events happening prior. So what's kind of been like the energy like with the team that y'all been able to do events like these?
Yeah, it's been a great time. We haven't been to a bowl game since 2022, so the Texas Bowl has done a great job of keeping us entertained. We had like a rodeo the other night and some other team activities, so it's kind of tough. The battle of having fun when those things are happening, but also being able to focus on the game at hand. So it's been really fun. We've had a great job with a lot of different activities, but also getting the necessary work we need to do before tomorrow.
After the season y'all had last year and the way this one started, did Coach Aranda change anything, or was maybe the thing that helped to keep everything really consistent?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. I think the philosophy, the main philosophy of like what we want to be as a program, person over player, valuing who you are as a person, and then building a player after that has been consistent. But I also think a lot of the things that we did last year, we switched up some stuff this year. Like football, took precedent over everything this year. We did a lot of character development and things like that, and we still do a lot of that stuff. But in January, we started football right away. So in the years past, we've just done strength training from January till spring ball, and we walked in on day one this year, and it was all about football, all about installs right away. And so I think having that as the forefront going into the season was big, and then also we were able to utilize the transfer portal and get a lot of talented guys this year.
And so, but even then, obviously, after all that focus, the season didn't start probably the way you wanted. Like
you
said, you had to have that flip. What caused that switch?
Yeah, honestly, it was hard as there wasn't really one moment. It was yes, Tech was always the thing that people go back to because we got that confidence, but you really only need one, and that was the kind of the message and things all week was we just got to get one, and then the rest will snowball after that. So, like we said, we had a pretty tough schedule early in the year, and it's easy for guys to get down on themselves. It's man, we got the talent, we got the guys, just give us a chance. So once we got that win against Tech, had confidence back, had some belief, and the power of belief in the sport is everything. So the rest of the way was pretty easy after that.
These field day events, which one was kind of your favorite to see the kids play?
Yeah, so I was in charge of the relay race, so my group had the relay race, and there was some future Isaiah Hankins in that group. We had a kicker at the end of it, so that was pretty cool. Running over some bags and running a loop and hitting a field goal, so that was pretty fun.
Yeah, there was a guy that made some field goals.
I know, we had to keep backing it up for him. We're like, man, we got to get this kid a tryout when he's older or something.
Obviously, it's not up to you, but do you feel like that sort of install early in the season is going to continue after your time, or do you think that's going to continue down the line?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Obviously, we'll let Coach handles all of that stuff, but man, the trust that we have in him as players and as staff, it's just through the roof. So whatever he does, whatever he says, I'll do. And so I trust him, and I'm just so thankful for him and just what he's poured into me and what he's poured into this team.
You said your coach your uncle was in coaching. Who's your
Dennis Allen.
Dennis Allen?
Yes, sir.